Hey guys, thank you for joining us. We have a very, very special guest, Mike Bennett. How you doing, man?
I am lovely. I'm sitting in my car at a mall in Illinois, waiting for my wife to come out. So just living the dream.
Sounds good, man. And I've got to say as well, I'm loving the beard.
I had to bring it back. It was gone for a little while. I felt like I looked like a 10-year-old, and so it was just time to be a responsible adult again and grow a beard.
You look distinguished. You look good. Yeah, you've got to
feel like
beard.
An adult. I feel like I don't feel so much like a child anymore.
Dude, I'm the same. I'm 37. If I shave this off, I won't get served in the pub when they open next week.
Yeah.
I look like the sixth member of One Direction if I shave my beard. So
I couldn't grow facial hair till I was like 29. So I'm just
really
all in. Yeah, I was very patchy all over the place.
Love it, man. Well, before we talk stuff, one thing I did want to talk about to start off with, because we're very good friends with Earl Joseph at New Wave Pro, and I know you're going to be competing with Cole Radbrick. Is that something you're looking forward to?
Yeah, I'm excited, man. I've just, since I got released, I've been just trying to have as many wrestling matches as possible, which is incredibly difficult during this pandemic.
Yeah.
It's just trying to find places, and then understandably, nobody can pay that much because they're not running in front of fans. So my goal is to I'm not really trying to become rich. I'm trying to figure out how I can have as many matches as possible, because I feel like I've been stuck at home forever. I feel like even when I was at WWE, I wasn't wrestling. So now it's like I'm trying to have as many matches against as many talented people that like I see on the internet, and then I'm just going to go, I want to wrestle that guy. I want to wrestle that guy. And that's kind of where I'm at right now. I'm just trying to have kick-ass matches and prove to people again, like, no, I don't want to be known as Mike Kanellis. I want to be known as Mike Bennett, the guy that did everything before WWE and then did everything after WWE.
Yeah.
Is Cole Radbrick someone you've been watching as well then?
Yeah, he's definitely he's one of them. I've seen his name pop up everywhere. And so, and this was even when I was at WWE, I would see his name pop up. Now it seems to be picking up even more. And so once I saw one of his matches on YouTube or something, I was like, yeah, that's definitely a guy I want to get in the ring with. That dude's awesome. He's going to be a star soon. He's got all the pieces.
Yeah. We spoke to him a couple of months ago, and he's actually offered to take me and Callum ghost hunting when we go back to Indiana. So,
nice.
Yeah. He's like, I know all these old mansions and hotels, so when you come back to Indiana, we'll go ghost hunting. It's like, all right, let's do this.
That's how every horror movie starts out. So I don't know if you want to follow him through.
Hey, dude, Mike, open invite if you want to come with us. Just saying.
Hey, I'm going to blame my kids to tell you that I'm afraid of it. I don't want to come out flat out and be like, no, I'm terrified. So I'm going to say, I got kids. How does that work? That's better.
Good excuse.
That's fine.
Yeah, I think so.
Obviously, you're back in Ring of Honor as well. I've got to tell you now, we spoke to Vincent a couple of times, and I can tell you the same thing. I think the storyline you guys have got is being the best thing in pro wrestling for me at the minute. I mean, what's it like being back in Ring of Honor and being obviously back with Matt Taven? How's that been?
Well, I mean, first of all, thank you for the kind words. I don't really want to take credit for a lot of it because I kind of jumped in mid storyline where Taven and Vinny were kind of killing it already. I'm glad that I could add something to it, which is cool for me, and that's kind of how I view it. But being back at Ring of Honor, all like storylines aside and all that stuff, it's been awesome. It's like me and Taven have been thinking about when I'm going to return since I left 5 years ago. So we've been thinking about this. We've been talking about this. And then to finally do it, I mean, it felt like a homecoming. It felt like one of those moments where you're like, oh, why did I ever leave? What the hell was I thinking? I had everything I needed right here. But, hindsight's always 20/20. And I had to leave and I had to go and see what else was out there and, spread my wings and leave the nest. And then you realize, grass isn't always greener, and it sure as hell wasn't for me. So it was so much fun. It was like you leave a place where you're appreciated and you end up in a place that you're tolerated, and you're just kind of like, no, go where you're appreciated. That's where it's fun. That's where, like, that to me was what pro wrestling was always supposed to be about. It was supposed to be fun. And I feel like I lost that along the way. But coming back to Ring of Honor, I feel like it's all of a sudden just all those emotions and feelings and excitement have just started pouring back in, which has been awesome for me.
You can tell you're having fun. That's the main thing. Even as a fan watching, you can tell how much you're enjoying it. And,
it's just fun, man.
You know,
like I don't feel like I'm walking on eggshells. I don't feel like every other second I have to worry about who I'm going to piss off.
Yeah.
Like, oh, you said the word the wrong way. And it's like, well, the boss is mad at you. It's like, what? Can you give me a break? Like, I don't know what, like, I can't read the boss's mood swings when I get there. So it's so nice to just be like, oh, you don't have to worry. You're going to piss off someone because you sneezed the wrong way. You know, like, it's just
that
nice.
was going to be my next question.
I have not sneezed in front of Vince McMahon. I enjoy my life. I don't want it ended prematurely.
Well, we spoke to Jimmy Jacobs, and he was saying he would have these creative meetings with Vince McMahon, and if somebody sneezed, he'd pull down this invisible shield. And I was like, that can't be real. Real people don't do that.
Vince is not real. That's the thing. He's 75, however old he is. He's a child. That's what my daughter does. My 3-year-old daughter. Yeah. If I sneeze, she takes the bump on the floor. She's like, that's what children do. So that's kind of the mindset we're working with.
I love it.
So I've got to ask as well, obviously, when you return, I mean, I'm presuming you're not finished with Vincent and the Righteous then?
No, who the hell knows when we're going to be finished with them? I feel like it's just like a constant thorn in your side that never leaves.
Yeah, that's what he made it sound like as well. It's, when we spoke to him, he sounded like he wanted to be that thorn in your side and Taven's side. He said, no matter how many times you think the fight's over, it's just beginning. So
of course he said that, because he's annoying and he's a pain in the ass. He's been a pain in the ass when I knew him 20 years ago. He's a pain in the ass now.
Nothing's changed.
No, nothing's changed, except he's got weird hair now. That's the only thing that's different.
Well, I mean, I have to ask you as well, because obviously Matt Taven, I mean, you are genuine best friends. I mean, how important's Matt been to you in your career?
He's it's funny. In wrestling, you have a lot. They say this, it sounds cliche, but it's so true. You have a lot of acquaintances. You have a lot of people you see all the time, you're friendly with. That's great. You have very few friends, like best friends, legitimate people because it's an egotistical industry. It's a cutthroat industry. You're always worried about your spot. It's hard to keep friends in that kind of industry because people will stab each other in the back. So when you find those friends, you cling to them and you stick to them. And Matt started, I don't know the exact number, maybe 7 or 8 years after I started. So I had a little bit of a hand in training him, but we just became best buddies. We started traveling together. We started doing the same shows together. I got to Ring of Honor first, then he came after me. And he was the officiant at my wedding. He's just been my best friend throughout the whole thing. So like, it's just, not only going back to Ring of Honor is cool, but then being able to just kind of do what you were doing before with your best friend. Now that we're older, we're not as stupid anymore. We're more mature. I mean, at least I feel like I'm not as stupid, but who knows? It's just a really cool feeling. And then to have Maria back at Ring of Honor, it feels like the kingdom might not all be back together, but we're all back under the same roof, and we all kind of are happy about that.
Yeah, I love it, man. I've actually got a photo with you, Matt Taven, and Maria.
What?
Preston City Wrestling.
Preston City, okay, yeah.
Yeah, I've actually. I was the last person. I think you were just shutting up, and I just came along, and I got the last photo. You were the IWGP Tag Champs at the time.
Good old days. I love doing Preston City, man. I had such a fun time doing those shows.
It was great, man. I mean, the photo, you and Matt put the titles on my shoulder, so I mean, obviously, I'm marking out. It was incredible. I mean, what was that experience like, Will? I mean, in Japan.
It was marking out too. I mean, like legit. It's like holy crap! You're the IWGP, heavyweight tag champs. I never thought I would go to Japan. Let alone win a prestigious, title like that. It still blows my mind. It still blows my mind that I had the privilege to wrestle people like Tanahashi and be in the ring with people like Okada and Ishii and Nakamura, and like it blows my mind, and it still blows my mind. And I'm so desperate to go back there. And it's just it's really cool. I think someone put up a picture today and said it was the anniversary of when we won the IWGP tag belt. So it's just, it's a really cool experience. And it's one of my, like those moments in wrestling that you're like, yeah, I'm going to remember that for a long time.
I will try and find the photo and post it myself.
Please do.
I'll pre-warn you though, I don't have a beard, so I look awful.
Oh my God.
I will find the picture.
Burn the photo.
Is the UK somewhere you'd love to come back to as well then?
Oh yeah. I always tell people, like, I feel like I'm more popular overseas than I am in America. So it's always nice. Like we were more popular in Japan. I always feel like when I go to the UK, you guys treat me the way I like to be treated. I'm like, I'm going to stay here. These crazy Americans don't even get good wrestling. These people over in the UK, they truly understand it.
Oh, we always find it crazy when Americans come over here and they're like, oh, we don't want to leave. And it's like, why? You live in America.
Because the fans, you guys treat us so warmly, and we're like, oh, this is like, I'm sorry, but the chants you guys do, the songs, like everything, I'm like, it's such a, I feel like there's wrestling in the ring and that's the show, but there's also a separate show going out outside the ring, which is this whole group of fans, which is awesome.
Get that.
It's like two shows at once.
That's it, man. And it's all just made up on the spot. That's the best bit as well. It's just, I don't know. I mean, I've been part of these crowds and I don't know where the chants come from sometimes. They just create out of nowhere and it's so much fun.
I think the UK crowds are like one of the only crowds that has gotten me to break in the ring. Like legit start laughing in the middle of a match because of chants. Because I'm like, how do you guys think of this stuff? It's just, it's the best. I love going over.
Well, when you come back, we're going to have the best chant ever for you, whatever it is. We're going to make you break again. I guarantee.
Perfect. That's the goal. That's the objective. I would love for that to happen.
Well, I mean, we usually mention him at the end, but I will mention him now quickly because we've had the chance and the pleasure we've become very good friends with Kerry Silkin.
Yes.
And he comes on the show regularly and talks to us. And he spoke very highly of you last time we had him on. So, I mean, what's your relationship with Kerry been like?
He's the boss. He's my boss. And he's not even my boss. But he'll tell you to this day, every time I see him, I call him boss because he was the first one who offered me a wrestling contract.
Yeah.
He gave me my very first national wrestling contract for Ring of Honor, 2010, maybe 2010, 2011, around that time. Me and Adam Cole had been working a bunch of dark matches together. We both did a seminar, or I did a tryout, and then we did another dark match against each other before a set of tapings. And when I came to the back, Jim Cornette and Kerry Silkin, they were like, congrats, you guys just got each other jobs. And so to this day, I owe him Adam Pearce, Delirious, Jim Cornette. They all helped me get my first contract at Ring of Honor. So they'll always have a special place in my heart. And Kerry was the boss and the owner of Ring of Honor at the time. So he's forever my boss. And I have literally nothing but kind things to say about that man. He kept Ring of Honor afloat.
Yes.
He gave guys jobs. He was the eye for talent. Like he is one of the more influential people in this industry that doesn't get talked about enough.
Yeah, you took the words out of my mouth. Yeah. He's the godfather of Ring of Honor without realizing he is. Even though Ring of Honor was doing really well, I don't think it would have survived as long without the influence of Kerry Silkin.
No.
And like you said, he doesn't realize how much he's done. When we speak to him, he's like, are you not bored of speaking to me yet? And it's like, why would we be bored of you?
No.
Like,
yeah. And not only that, but if you watch, he's at ringside for literally all of the greatest Ring of Honor matches you'll ever see. So he's been ringside for Joe and Kobashi and Nigel and Brian and Punk and Joe. Like he was ringside for that, which is incredibly just like the stories he can tell you. And not only that, but he kept Ring of Honor afloat. He is responsible for all like what is big in wrestling right now. There's no AEW without Ring of Honor. There's no NXT without Ring of Honor. There's some of the top guys at WWE right now. They don't exist without Ring of Honor. And Kerry Silkin made sure that happened. So like he deserves a lot more credit than people give to him.
Actually, now you mention it, without Silkin, we might not have had the CM Punk pipe bomb promo. We might not have had Seth Rollins main event in WrestleMania. That's crazy to think of the influence he's had.
And that's not to take away from those guys because I'm sure someone as crazy, like motivated as Punk and Seth Rollins, I'm sure they would have found a way regardless.
Absolutely, but we might not have had those same moments.
Right. But the fact that it was this perfect storm that Carrie Silken was basically masterminding just goes to show he deserves so much of that credit.
Awesome.
Yeah, he is. He's so humble when we speak to him, and he genuinely doesn't realize how important he has been to the business.
No.
And I also, the amount of stories that guy's got to tell is incredible.
It's great.
That's a life lived.
Not even just wrestling stories, just stories in general that he probably will never tell anybody that I've heard all the time, and I love to death. And just like, and I think that's why so many of the guys like adore him, is because he doesn't try to take credit for it, which I think he should, but he doesn't name drop. He doesn't put himself above anyone else. He's just kind of like, this is what I did. And everyone's like, you did some crazy, incredible stuff. Like, and like, he just is so humbled about it. And I think that's why the guys are so drawn to him.
I've got to ask.
And he's writing his memoirs as well at the moment. He was.
I'm going to be first in line buying that thing.
Oh yeah.
Now you're back in Ring of Honor, Mike. I've got to ask this. I know you've got that problem with Vincent at the moment and the Righteous. Once you've done away with them for good, and you can finally focus on something else in Ring of Honor, what's the first goal? Is it the Tag Team Championships with Taven? Or have you come back because you want to be the Ring of Honor World Champion?
You know, it's funny. I think about that a lot, and I always go back and forth because obviously I came back and the first thing I did was join back up with Taven. So the Tag Team Championships are always there just because of how it ended last time. Taven got hurt. And then I left right after that. It was kind of not the ending we wanted. So that's always in the back of my mind that I want to do that. But then, you know, personally, I feel like there's a lot I didn't live up to in Ring of Honor that I want to do now and prove to people. And to me, I have two titles that really stick out besides the tag titles, because that's a separate issue. I want to be Ring of Honor World Champ, but I also want to be the Pure Champ. And I want to be the Pure Champ because it's outside of my comfort zone. And it's actually a division that I've been seriously like zoning in on. My wife can probably attest to this. I've become obsessed with watching like Ring of Honor from 2003 to like 2009. And I've just been zoning in on the pure title matches of like Joe versus Nigel, Nigel versus Brian versus Gibson, like all these matches that I've become obsessed with. Now I'm antsy to get in the ring and show people I can actually do this. And I think it would surprise a lot of people. And plus, I said to my wife the other day, I was like, do you know how I know it's the right decision? Because it makes me incredibly uncomfortable thinking about having those matches. And in order to exceed and to grow, I need to be uncomfortable. So that's how I know that is exactly what I'm supposed to do.
All right. And I mean, who better at the minute as well than Jonathan Gresham? I mean,
oh God, he's the best.
The guy's incredible. Yeah. I mean, is that the guy? I mean, you'd like to go one-on-one with him, I'm guessing, then, while he's still the champ.
I want to go one-on-one with him. Tracy Williams is another one that I want to go one-on-one with. After watching Dak Draper at the pay-per-view, that guy can, I had a match against Cheeseburger at Warrior Wrestling. He's all about pure wrestling now. Will Ferrara, like there's all these guys in that division that I'm excited to work with. I'd love to get back in there with Jay Lethal just under pure rules this time. We have a history too. So it's just like all of these guys now. Hell, even guys that had just showed up in the company, like Chris Dickinson. I want to get in the ring with Chris Dickinson.
Yeah, man.
Just, I want to get in the ring with Tony Deppen, man. Those guys are awesome. So, like, I'm just, as you can tell, I'm like a kid in a candy store when it comes to Ring of Honor right now.
When you put it like that.
Another guy I'd love to see you against as well. I mean, the other guy in the foundation, I mean, a guy who's so underrated, in my opinion, is Rhett Titus.
Yes. Rhett has found his pure wrestling, the foundation. That's what Rhett was supposed to do in wrestling. I feel like it took him a while to find it. Like it takes everyone a while to find it. But I feel like he's finally settled in, and he's awesome. He's like, I've been watching his matches. He's gotten so good. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
And dare we say, sorry, Callum, but I mean, dare we throw out the name Danhausen as well? I mean,
hey, dares, throw it out, because talk about a dude that knows who he is and knows what he's good at and has just completely found his. I don't think people who aren't in the industry realize how difficult it is to find what your thing is.
Yeah.
Every wrestler has a thing, and then fans attach to it. You know, you can call it a thing, you can call it a gimmick, you can call it whatever. But I always call it like being comfortable with yourself and whatever that is, whatever presentation you want to do with that. And he is like, Danhausen is a 101 on how to find yourself, be comfortable in it, and then profit off of it. And he's Maria's favorite wrestler in Ring of Honor right now.
Awesome.
I adore him. I think what he's been able to do on the indies and build his name without being attached to any wrestling company is incredibly impressive. And so I hope me and him can wrestle a million times.
Shouldn't you be Maria's favorite wrestler? I mean,
one would think. It depends on the day, which way the wind's blowing.
Well, I know Callum wanted to ask you as well about Impact when you was in TNA.
Yeah,
that experience.
I was a huge fan of Miracle Mike Bennett. You know, like I thought that was awesome. So he was X Division champion in TNA Impact. What was that experience like? I know you wasn't there for too long, but it always seemed like you had a great run in TNA.
Yeah, and so that was the original reason, like leaving Ring of Honor the first time was kind of the first step in seeing if I could fly on my own. Having those discussions with Impact around the time my contract was coming up, it was very much like, I want to be a solo guy. I want to be a main event guy. Is that something you guys see me as? And they did. So to me, it was a no-brainer to go there and try to, you know, get in storylines with EC3 and get in storylines with Bobby Lashley and Drew McIntyre and all these guys. And again, that is another time where I look back and I'm just like, I don't know. I think we're going to look back in 20 years from now and be like, do you remember that TNA roster at that time? I mean, you had me, EC3, Drew McIntyre, Bobby Lashley, Eli Drake, Matt and Jeff Hardy. I mean, and I know I'm forgetting a bunch of people, but just off the top of my head, those guys. And it's just like, you had Billy Corgan backstage. And it's just like, we had such this camaraderie where like management was what it was. There were issues with pay and everybody knew that. But at the end of the day, we all came together because we absolutely loved being part of that locker room. And we loved the product we were putting forward. And it was just to me, it was a special time in that company.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah.
There's always been a really strong roster in Impact throughout history. Like at the very start, you had Styles, Joe, Daniels, and you know, all of those amazing names. But I feel like when you were there, that was like just as good, the names that were on that roster. And even now, the roster you're on currently with Ring of Honor might be the best Ring of Honor roster that there's ever been. The talent.
Yeah, no, it's funny because like I keep hearing all these things of like, oh, WWE signing up all these guys and girls and AEW signing up all these guys and girls and there's no more talent. And I'm sitting there and I'm going, what are you guys watching? Yeah. Because from what I see on the indies in Ring of Honor, I mean, I'm watching some of the guys in Ring of Honor right now and I'm like, holy crap, you guys are doing stuff we couldn't even think about doing back in like 2014, 2015. And they're still going strong. And then you still have guys like the Briscoes and Jay Lethal and Dalton Castle and Matt Taven. Like you still have all these guys that are still there, that are still just bringing that product up. I mean, you took the words right out of my mouth. Right now, Ring of Honor, I mean, I would put Ring of Honor's roster right now against any year. And I know people are going to be, that's crazy. What about the years of Punk and Joe? Cool. And I agree. But on the same token, during those years, people also didn't think Punk and Joe and all them were anything to write home about either. Then you look back now and you're like, oh my God, look at that roster. I think that's what's going to happen right now.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah, we said this with Kerry. I mean, when you looked at like the 90th anniversary show and the card was stacked, that you looked at, you thought, well, you wasn't on it. Brody King wasn't on it. Mark Haskins and so many others. You know, the talent on the roster is just on a whole nother level.
Top to bottom, I think it's the best in wrestling. And I know I work there, so I'm partial, but you know what? I don't care. I truly believe it. And not only that, but I'm going to say this. We have the best commentators in all of professional wrestling, hands down, without a doubt. They, so many times with color commentary and play-by-play, is they're just kind of there in their background noise. This, Ian and Caprice, they're a pivotal part of what we do. Without their commentary, I feel like the setup, the quietness, the, focusing on the actual sport of wrestling might come off a little strange, but because of their commentary, they tie it all together and it actually adds, it actually benefits the product.
Yeah, you're so right there. Ian Riccoboni is specifically. I feel like he really gets what it is to be a color commentator. He adds color to the product. Like,
right,
you know, the bits that the fans might not understand, he can fill in. If you're a new viewer, he can help you understand what's going on. So yeah, absolutely love Ian Riccoboni. Great commentator. But I also feel like Ring of Honor has some of the best production in wrestling right now. You know, with like the statistics that come up for the wrestlers,
right.
you know, everything looks so clean and polished. I think it's really underrated when it comes to production as well.
Well, I think too, what's really cool that Ring of Honor is doing is they're really focusing on like the sport aspect of it, which I know companies have said over and over again is we're going to do sport and rankings. But I feel like Ring of Honor has actually targeted that with the pure division, with the fact that like you have to choose a division and stick with that division.
Love that.
With, you know, they have the ranking system, and it's just like, it's nice to see something presented as a sport. And then if you want to sprinkle in some storylines, like you have the Kingdom versus the Righteous, you can throw in stuff like that. You can throw in a little violence with the new group, Violence Unlimited, that they brought in. Like there's ways to do it. But if you look at the company as a whole, you're going to say, okay, this is a sport-based company that sprinkles in a little stuff here and there. And I just think that's such a cool way to do it. And I honestly think that's the way the industry is going to trend. We've gone so far one way. I think now it's time to go back the other way. And I think Ring of Honor, just like they've always been, is going to be at the forefront of this new wave of wrestling.
Hell yeah. And just going back to Ian Riccoboni as well, because we spoke to him a couple of months ago, and to show how good he is, I think Callum will remember, he cut a 60-second promo on why we should watch Ring of Honor and didn't miss a beat. It was just the most perfect thing you could ever witness.
He's a professional, man. That's why he's good at what he does. He knows what he's doing. And, you know, not for nothing, but Caprice is someone who's completely blown me away with, you know, again, he's someone that not only adds to the product, but he's beneficial. Like he's a necessity. We need those guys to give off the type of presentation we're trying to give off. And they both do it like perfectly. And then, you know, even at the pay-per-view, adding Rocky Romero to it, who just didn't miss a beat either, is another guy. And I know, you know, he's got the experience with Kevin Kelly, who's another guy who I absolutely adore as a play-by-play guy. And it's just like, you know, we hear all these other people about commentary. To me, we have the best two. You throw in Rocky too, and it's just like, you know, forget about it. It's the best 3-person team right there.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think that they're so underrated. You know, people talk, you know, JR, Tony Schiavone, but Riccoboni and Caprice are so underrated. And like you said, Rocky as well. I mean, touching on Rocky as well, I mean, obviously the Ring of Honor New Japan relationship, I mean, we said earlier, is that something you're looking forward to having again, you know, perhaps the G1 when fans return?
Yeah, man, you know, all I've been thinking about is going back to Japan ever since I got fired. In my head, I'm just like, I want to go back there. I'm in a different place now. You know, come July, I'll be sober for 4 years. I'm just a different human. And how I feel now, I want to go and present that to the Japanese crowd because I feel like I didn't appreciate it as much when I was younger as I will now. So I'm just like, I'm chomping at the bit to get back over there. The G1 would be amazing.
It seems like you're wanting to wrestle wherever you can, have the best matches you can against the coolest people you can. And I think that's the best attitude to have.
I feel like that's like my main goal right now is for so long, I lost the love of wrestling because I was so focused on trying to make it and trying to get a contract somewhere that I fell out of love with the actual reason I wanted to do it, which was the creative aspect of it, was the performance aspect of it. And like I had that when I was younger, but I think you get so caught up in like, you got to make it, you got to get signed somewhere, you got to do this. You got to walk on eggshells that you kind of fall out of love with it. Now I feel like I've rekindled that love, and that love is like, no, I just want to go have these banger matches with whoever I can, kill it, and just get the crowd on their feet, be a performer again, just like do what you could. And I'm so incredibly excited of these possibilities and to just get out there and to have my own freedom that I can't wait. I want the world to open up again. I'm so sick of this virus.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head there. Sometimes I feel like a lot of people judge success by if you get signed by a major promotion. And really, success should just be if you're enjoying what you're doing and doing the most creative stuff you can do. That's surely it.
It's absurd to me. And I think as I get older, I realize this, which I didn't when I was younger, but it's absurd to me that we let anyone else dictate what success is to us.
Yeah.
Like how could you tell me what is success for me and vice versa? How could I tell you if you're
subjective.
successful?
Yeah.
Like I could be a bajillionaire and be living in a mansion by myself and be absolutely miserable.
Yeah.
Or I could be scraping day to day, but have a beautiful family that brings me joy every single day I come home and be completely content and at peace. That's success to a lot of people. So like, it's so strange that we let anyone else dictate what success is. And you're correct. For the longest time, and I feel like even now, people dictate success in wrestling by how much money you've made or what contract you signed. And it's like, who's to say that's successful? I know tons of guys that have turned down WWE contracts that I would consider successful. So it's just, at the end of the day, it's nice for me to have that tunnel vision out of my head and to be like, no, success is going to be whatever I make it. And right now, success to me is just going out and wrestling as much as possible.
Love it.
Well, I know before we start to wrap up and stuff, I mean, mentioning the indies, I mean, how important do you think it's been as well? I mean, the indies have kept on going. Look at GCW. You're going to be at New Wave Pro. I mean, how important have the indies been while we've had the pandemic?
Yeah, you know what? I feel like the indies, and especially some of these promotions that have been able to keep it going, I feel like it's been incredibly pivotal to guys who, again, are not under contract, but are still trying to stay relevant and still trying to keep their names out there. But I feel like the indies they took a different approach where they were like, all right, we'll let in some fans, but we'll focus more on like general content and give people content to watch, as opposed to just like, oh, let's see how many fans we can get into the arena or into the building. They were like, we're just going to give you hours of content. We'll give guys the ability to perform so they can proceed to get over. And in order to pay them, go pick up a t-shirt on Pro Wrestling Tees or purchase this pay-per-view or subscribe to this network. So I feel like indie wrestling as a whole kind of reinvented the wheel on what to do during this pandemic, which, you know, it's given me an eye on what I should do. That was one of the reasons why I filmed the documentary recently, where I was like, I don't care if I go and do shows in front of nobody, because everybody's wrestling in front of nobody right now. So what I really need right now is to just have matches that I can show people, just have a story that I can tell people, and I can do that all online. So I just had a guy follow me with a camera to different indie shows, to excuse me, to different seminars that I did. And it's like, that's how you get your name out there now, and that's how you stay relevant, as opposed to being like, oh, well, I'm wrestling in front of 1,000 people tonight. It's kind of pointless at this point.
Yeah, totally agree, man. Totally agree. I know Zoom doesn't allow us much longer, so I don't want us to get cut off.
Yeah, so we've just got the 3-minute warning. So.
Oh no! All right. Somebody say 3 minutes.
Let everybody know where they can find you, Mike. Any merchandise to promote? Any social medias you want to promote?
Yeah, please. Just follow me on Twitter at Real Mike Bennett. Follow me on Instagram at The Real Michael Bennett. That's usually the only major 2 social media platforms I use. And like I said, I have a documentary coming out. It's about 2 hours. It's nothing fancy. It's literally like raw, no bells and whistles. I went on a 10-day tour, just hitting different indie promotions and did seminars. And I hit really bad weather. It's awesome. Fun. It's exciting. We just document the whole thing. So it's going to be on YouTube on April 7th. It's called I Love This Shit. So that'll be available. And then please, please, please watch Ring of Honor. I'm telling you guys, it's the best wrestling in the world right now. I know I work there. You think I have to say that. Even if I didn't work there, I would still say it, because I absolutely love that company.
Mike, we say it to you on a weekly basis, so we're with you on that.
We totally agree, dude. But for now, and on a personal level as well, Mike, it's been a thrill for me, because you've always been one of my favorites. So to have the chance to speak to you, man, I can't thank you enough.
No, I say this all the time, and it doesn't change. I'm always humbled when people give a shit to what I have to say and they want to talk to me. So again, I'm truly humbled. Thank you for the time and for sharing my story. It means a lot to me.
No, we thank you, man. So, Mike Bennett, thank you very much.
Thank you, guys. Take care.